Alright guys, GreatGamer34 here, and today is a different kind of video because some of you may not know what binary is and have a couple questions that need to be answered. So, this is a video to pretty much answer those questions. So we have this here. It says, what is binary? How do we use it? What is logic? Is there more bases other than binary and base 10? So we're going to go ahead and start with what is binary. Binary is ones and zeros only. Whoops. So I'll go ahead and write only. So that means that we only use ones and zeros in our number counting system. So how we do that is each number has a certain value depending on where it is. So if you see here, we have here that says 8, 4, 2, and then 1. So this is how most people read binary. The biggest number is on the left, which is designated by MSB. MSB means most significant bit. The lowest number is on the right and is the LSB. Binary works by starting with 1 and then doubling. So it goes 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, on and on and on. Which is why you might notice that in a CPU it might be 64-bit. That's because it's just an easy binary. It's just a representation of binary numbers. So this is a 4-bit number because there's only 8. Like the maximum 4-bit number you can have is 1111 because there's 4 ones and they're filled in all 4 spots. So this is 4 bits. The more spots we have, the more bits. It's common to keep them in the 1, 2, 4, 8, 16 formation, so this is a 4-bit, so it follows that kind of rule. 8-bit would be 8 ones or zeros in a row, so it just works like that.
Alright, and I didn't explain what LSB is. LSB is least significant bit, so we have the most significant bit and the least significant bit, and least significant bit doesn't have to be 1. Generally is, but it doesn't have to be. So now we'll go ahead and how do we write binary numbers? How do we do stuff with them? So I'll get another block. I'll get a red block here. Okay, so now white equals 0, red equals 1. So what we'll do is now we'll make a binary number. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and show how many binary numbers we'll just do a 4-bit. So there's going to be 4 blocks like this. So this is the 8. This is the 4. This is the 2. This is the 1. So that's just for there. Ignore that it's in red. What we're going to do is if I made the number and then put red here, if red means 1, so we'll just write 0, whoops, can't have negative 0, 1, 0, 0. The easiest way to learn binary, which is how I learned, is we multiply the number here by the number that it's supposed to be representing. So I'll go ahead and do that now. So we have 0 times 1 is 0. 0 times 2 is still 0. 1 times 4 is 4. And then 0 times 8 is 0. Now what we do is we add these values. So we add 0 plus 4 plus 0 plus 0, which is going to get 4. So that's how we read binary. Or that's how we write in binary. So we'll go ahead and do another example, or I'll do this. This is 1, 1, 1, 0, and I'll go ahead and give you guys a second to figure it out and get it in your head. So you should have it by now. We're going to add 8 and 4 and 2, which make 14. So that is the number 14. If you don't understand that, we take 8 plus 4, which is 12, plus 2, which is 14, plus 0, which is still 14. Makes sense. So that's how we do that. Now there's different operations we can do with this. We can now go ahead and say, I guess I'll do this here. we can now say we want to add the number. I'll just separate. I'll just write into this now. We want to say the number 4. Well, that's kind of hard to tell that that's 4. We'll do it here. So we'll take the number 4, which is 8, 4, 2, 1, and since 4 is the only one on, which is red, because red means 1, you can also say 1 as in true, and 0 as in false, that kind of thing. But I like saying 1s or 0s are on or off. So we're going to take 4, and we're going to go ahead and add it to 3. Now how do we make the number 3? It's the first bit, number 1, and it's number 2, so 1 and 2 make 3. So that's that. So 4 and 3 add to make 7. That's pretty easy because you just bring that bit down. So now you may be wondering, what if we have this number, which this number is 5 because it's 0 on the 8 spot, 1 on the 4, 0 on the 2, and 1 on the 1. So 1 plus 4 equals 5. So I'll go ahead and write 5 because this is going to get a little confusing. Well, it shouldn't be, but it might. 5, and now let's say we add that to 3. So now we have 5 and 3. Well, what happens when we hold on. So what happens when we add 5 and 3? Well, 1 and 1 add to make 0. And since this adds 1 and 1 to make 2, to represent 2 in binary, we just carry a bit over. So we have a 0 here and we have a 1 here. Now 1 plus 1 equals 0, and you carry to make another 1. Then this 1 and this 1 make 0, and then you carry to get another 1. 1 and nothing is 1. So now we have the number 8, and then nothing there. So does 5 plus 3 equal 8? Yes, it does. Now we can also get a little bit more confusing like this, and hopefully this isn't confusing, but we can have 5, and we can have 5. Now if you see how this is 5 because 4 and 1 are lit up, so I'll just label 5 and 5. So we have 5 and 5, and we're going to add them. So 1 and 1 carry to make 0, or add to make 0, and carry to get a 1. 1 and 1 do that, and they carry to get another 1. So now we have 10, right? Because 8 plus 2 equals 10. So I guess I'll go ahead and write 10 here. Now you can have something even more. We can have the number 7, and we could have the number 3. And now it looks like, whoa, what's going on here? It's still pretty simple. What we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing that we have before. All we're going to do is we're going to take 1 and 1, they carry to make nothing, or they propagate. Propagating just means when you add them together, they make nothing except for the carry. So it propagates nothing, generates a carry. So we're using propagates and generates. So it generates a 0, or it generates a 1 over here. Then we add 1 plus 1 is 0, so you're automatically going to get a carry there, but you have this 1. So that makes 3, so we're going to have to put a 1 there and a carry. Then 1 plus 1 equals 0 here, carries to get a 1, and 1 plus 0 equals 1. So we have the number 7 and 3, which adds to make 10, and we have 8 here and 2 here, which 8 and 2 make 10. So now that you guys kind of see what binary is, binary when you add is just rearranging bits in order. So that's all it's doing, and there's plenty of different ways to do adders. But now we're going to go ahead and get into another field of things. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do subtraction. And you may be wondering, oh, that seems a little complicated. Well, it's really not. And if you do know some stuff about binary already, and you know what an ALU is. An ALU is an arithmetic logic unit. An ALU is just an array of adders with some functions added to it. But an ALU can still subtract. And the reason it can do this is because it's so simple. So how we subtract is we use 2's complement, which is you invert the lowest number and add 1, or you invert b and then add 1 to everything. So I'll explain. So we have the number 5, right? 4 and 1 make 5. So I'll go ahead and write 5. We want to subtract 1. That's the number 1. And we want to subtract. How do we do this? Well, first we're going to break this up. Subtracting in binary is like adding a negative number. So we have 5 minus 1, which equals 4. It's the same as saying 5 plus negative 1, right? And 5 plus negative 1 equals 4. So that's what 2's complement is. 2's complement is making the number that you want to subtract negative, and that's how it does it. So how do you do that? So we have the number 1 in binary. We're going to go ahead and write the number 1. We're going to invert everything, so that's then going to go to this, right? Because we just switch everything from 1s to 0s. We just invert, and then we're going to add 1. So then we're going to add 1 to this. So then we have 1, 1, 1, 1, right? So now we're going to go ahead and take our 5. We have our 5, which is this right here, these 4 bits. And now we're going to add the inverse of 1. So now what happens is we're just going to add, and we're going to have 0 with a 1, 0 with a carry, with an output of 1, with a carry, with an output of 0, with a 1. Now you may be wondering, this is not 4 in binary. Well, you're correct to a certain extent. Oh, it looks like an A there. This is the output right here. What am I writing? Output. What you do in binary, that when you subtract a number and you get this carry out, this is called a carry out because it went all the way over to the last bit. If we had more bits, this would have came out the very last bit. If this is out, when you have the rest of your number, that means the number is positive. So now we have positive 4, because 8 times 0 is 0, 4 times 1 is 4, and then 0 is left over there. So this is the number 4. So we remembered we subtracted, and now we have this. Now let's say this wasn't out. We didn't have this output here. That means that the first input of 5 was smaller than the number we tried to subtract. So this would not be getting an output here, which means the number was negative. And I'll go ahead and do an example of that. Okay, so I previously had some footage on doing subtracting a negative number, but I forgot kind of how to, so I just refreshed myself. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 3 and subtract 4. Now, if you remember, we still have to do 2's complement, so I'll just go ahead and label these 3, 4, and we'll put the minus sign here. So we have 3 minus 4. So we have to turn 4 into 2's complement, which means we're going to invert these 4 bits. So it's going to be 1, 0, 1, 1, because 4 was this. That's 4 originally. We're going to have to do this. Then we have to add 1 to it to get 2's complement. So this is going to create a 0 with a carry, a 0 with a carry, and that. So then what we're going to do is we're going to take 3, which is that number, and add it to our inverse of 4, just like before. So we have 3, and we have our inverse of 4, and we're going to go ahead and add them together. So we just bring that, because 1 plus 0 is 1, 1 plus 0 is 1, 0 plus 1 is 1, 0 plus 1 is 1. So now we have the number 15 in binary. But since we didn't get a carry out from this to come over here into to take the spot of this bit, that means this number is negative. When you get another negative number, you have to do 2's complement to it. So all we're going to do is you don't really have to do 2's complement to it. All you do is add 1. I'm pretty sure. When you add 1, nope, you have to do 2's complement. So now we're going to inverse all the bits, and then we're going to add 1. So if you see, then we're just going to get 1. So 0 plus 1 is 1. Zeros and zeros and zeros. So since we didn't have a carryout flag, which would be that, this number is going to be 1. Without a carryout is -1. So if you didn't understand that, I'll do the same example, and now I'll use different numbers. I'll use 6 minus 9. And you see that 6 is smaller than 9, even though it's A. So we'll just write 6 and 9. And we'll put our subtraction sign here. So we have to do the complement of 9, which, since 9 is this, we're just going to do the complement of it, which is that. Then we're going to add 1. So that's 1, 1, 1, 0. Now we're going to take that and add that to 6, because we're subtracting 6 minus 9, and this is a complement of 9. So we'll go ahead and write 6, add 7, and we'll get 1. Well, I'll do this here. 0 there, it carries to here. 1, and that carries to here, and we got 1. Since our carryout flag is not on, what we're going to do is we're going to invert all of these numbers here, or all of these bits, so we now have this, and then we're just going to add 1, and we get 3. So if you remember over here, we have 6 minus 9 is not regular 3, it's -3, but we got 3 here. The reason we got 3 here is because there was no carryout flag from when we added these numbers here. When we added the inverse of 9 to 6, that we didn't get a carryout. When we don't get a carryout, that means this number is negative. So now we have this, and that is now -3.